Hello world, how are you? My name is Mbarashi Nobert Machi and I'm in Pretoria, South Africa. So today I'm going to be leveling the major components of a computer. So starting off with the front panel, here I have a fan that cools up the motherboard which is inside the computer, and we're going to be going there in a short while. So in the front panel we have the spaces over here whereby we're going to cover when we go inside the inside the computer. And on top, in most cases it's found on the front panel, but in this case it's on the top panel of the cover. We have the two USB ports, the audio ports, and we have the on button here with an LED light which shows that the computer is on or is off, and we have the reboot button. And as we move on inside the computer, here we have a 300-watt power supply which comes in with a 4-pin power and a 24-pin and a Molex connection. And inside, according to this, on this back, that's where we attach the motherboard, which I just removed so that I can illustrate to you the components inside. And as we move on inside, as you can see, the spaces I was talking about, that is where we find the DVD or CD-ROM compatible with the type of motherboard you have or the computer you have. So, and as you can see here, we have spaces that fit in the ROM. You have to put them two inside, and you can fit in as many DVD-ROMs or CD-ROMs as you wish, depending with the ports that you have on the front. And the floppy disks, that's where they come in. And as you go back inside, as you can see, there's so many cables that are inside. As I said before, on top of the CPU we have the USB ports and the audio ports. So that's when some of these cables come in. Now these cables are the ones which are going to be connected onto the motherboard that I'm going to be illustrating. And at the back we have those panels that have free spaces. So what happens is, when you connect your motherboard, the ports on the motherboard that are attached to the motherboard are supposed to be picking out through these spaces that we have here, depending on the number of inputs input ports that you have on your motherboard. And again, at the back, as you can see, we have a fan here which cools the motherboard, which cools the power supply so that it does not overheat. And we have the on and off switch, which is here, the on and off switch. And we have the power cable that we connect to the power onto the power supply. So inside we have essential components like the hard drive, where your information is stored. And on the hard drive, at the back of the hard drive, we have the SATA for the data. It's called the SATA data port, where the SATA cable comes in, and it looks like this. This is the SATA cable. And we have the power here. This is the power, the SATA power. And then we have the jumper block for the hard drive. And here is the motherboard. So now we're going to be talking about the motherboard. So now this is the motherboard, and on the motherboard we have the SATA slots. So these are the two SATA slots we have on this motherboard, and the SATA slots are the way you put your hard drives. You connect your hard drives to the SATA slot. And here we have the RAM slot. This is the RAM that you have, the random access memory that allows you to, that saves random memory like applications that you open while your computer is on. So on this motherboard we have two RAM slots, which are those ones. And here we have the core processor. So what the core processor does, it deals with all the calculations that happens in the computer. So on the motherboard, this core processor deals with all the calculations that you want to deal with, the arithmetic problems that we have in the computer. And here we have a 12-pin connector, which works in conjunction with the 12-pin connector, which is right on the other side. And after that, here we go to the back, the other side I was showing you with the space panels on the covers. So here we have the VGA slot where you connect your VGA cable if you want to connect to a LCD screen or your monitors, any type of monitors that have the VGA port. So this is the VGA, this is the video graphics sector, and here we have our 4 USB serial ports, and here we have the Ethernet port, and here we have the audio card. This is the sound system of the motherboard, where you have your microphone and your headphones. And so those ones are the input outputs for the audios that you have. And on this other side, this one is a little bit outdated. This one is for the mouse, sorry, this one is for the keyboard. This is the pin plug for your keyboard, and this one is the pin plug for your mouse. So here on top of this we have a CPU fan. So a CPU fan is made up of two things, a fan and a heatsink. So what happens is the heatsink, it's a bad conductor of heat, so it blows off the heat which goes onto the motherboard so that it does not heat off. So as we remove the heatsink, underneath we have a processor. That's where you hear people saying Core i5, Core i7, Core i3. This is the processor. So as you remove the processor, you really have to be careful because there are pins underneath that you do not want to destroy. As soon as you destroy them, your computer will not boot. So this is the processor here, and underneath we have the pins for the processor. So